I'm Kelsey McEwen, and I'm here with Marcia McMillan and Teddy Wilson, who stepped in to co-host the show with me this week. Thanks for that. By the way, welcome to CTV Your Morning, the podcast.
This week, we're taking a look at how the key to restoring sight could be in your mouth. We'll speak with one of Canada's first patients to receive a rare tooth and eye surgery.
And we'll also share Kelsey's fantastic conversation with actress and dancer Debbie Allen, all about how she's breaking down stigma around diabetes. Kelsey will also get some insight into this season of Grey's Anatomy.
Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, you can watch us live weekdays on CTV Your Morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV CTV News Channel, and on your CTV News app.
We're starting the podcast this week with all things Severance. The hit show is blurring the lines on what work-life balance really means. And with season 2 well underway, fans are getting some answers and a lot more questions as well.
And oh my goodness, I'm one of those fans. This series is great. It follows a group of employees at the mysterious Lumen Industries who have no memory of who they are outside of their workplace. And it also follows what happens when elements of those double lives start to blend together.
This sounds so exciting. So we spoke with Zach Cherry and Tramell Tillman, who play Dylan G and Mr. Milchek, for some innie-outie revelations.
I am one of the super fans who kind of proselytize about this show, tell everybody I know about it. It is fantastic, so it's an honor to talk to you. It's a complex premise. I touched on it a bit there, but basically a lot of employees agree to have this chip implanted. When they get to work, they don't remember anything from their outside lives. When they leave work, they don't remember anything inside. That's the basic premise, but there's so much more there. And Zach, I'll start with you because your character is one of the characters on the show that is severed, so you kind of have this dual character you're playing. We've explored more of Dylan's outie life. They're called innies and outies in this second season. What's he been like for you as an actor in terms of digging into this character and that duality?
Yeah, it's a really fun opportunity and like exciting challenge, and they are dual characters, but they're also the same person. Yes. So we play around with that of like how much is different, how much overlap is there, and what bleeds through. So it's been really fun to learn more about his outie this year.
Oh, I love that, and fun for us as viewers to learn that too. Tramell Milchek, also known as Seth, is not severed because he's this like deliciously sycophantic to the company, a middle manager, but there's also so much going on with him. I have some theories about where he may be headed. What's this character been like for you to sink your teeth into? A big fan favorite.
Well, it's been a big jump for him. You know, he started really under Cobell in season 1, and season 2, he's now running the floor. So we're seeing him in a new light and seeing him flex his muscles a bit.
Oh, I love that. As I touched on there, one of the things about the show is the mysteries, but a thing I really love about this series is you get answers as it goes along as well. There are still lots of questions remaining, but you also get answers. Some of the mysteries, though, that are outstanding, I'm going to rhyme off a few of them just as a super fan. What's with all the nautical stuff? What are the goats doing? Why is there a dentistry theme? Why all the melons all the time? Who are they? Where are they? What is the work that they're doing? I know to quote your character in the show that non-disclosure forbids you from talking about this.
This is true.
So you can't give us any spoilers, but I am curious for you two, as two of the stars of the show, how much do you know about where the show is going and maybe some of those subplots I mentioned? Like, do you know all the answers?
I do not. No.
No.
Really?
Some. I know some. And I do like that the questions you posed were on the level of who are they and where are they?
Yeah.
And down to the specific of why so much dentistry.
Yeah.
That's sort of what we like to play around with.
And why melons?
Yeah. Why melons?
Yeah.
That one I don't know. Why melons?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, to me, the questions of who are they and where are they and when are they are key. So I'm kind of watching your faces for reactions. But anyway, you're giving me nothing, and I appreciate that as a fan of the show. Don't spoil anything. The show has a devoted fan base, as viewers can tell from my enthusiasm for it. And a lot of it has become like viral and memeable. Obviously, one of the biggest examples, I think we have a bit of footage of it, is the music dance experience. That's a scene that everybody talks about. One of the things that I love about it is the dynamic between the characters. Dylan, you're kind of at your desk, angry while this is going on. The other characters are dancing. But I want to use this clip as a chance to ask you about the chemistry between all of you on the show. What's it like working with your fellow actors? Adam Scott there, Britt Lauer, great cast. What's it like on set?
I was just mesmerized by the dance experience.
And at the end, you attack Milchek in this clip, which is great.
Nice little bite.
It's wonderful. It's such a great group, and everyone is like bringing so much to it. Honestly, like I was just mesmerized. Sometimes I am kind of just sitting there in awe of the other actors' work, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's very playful. It's very supportive. You know, we lean on each other. I mean, that music dance experience, that was pretty much improv.
Yeah.
You know, we just went person to person and just vibed off of each other, and that's so much of the show.
I love it.
A lot of that is leaning in and playing.
I could talk to you for hours, but just very quickly to wrap it up, what do you think it is about the notion of severance that appeals to us as viewers? What do you think it is about that idea?
I think everyone has a complicated relationship to their work, and our show is exploring that.
Yeah.
I think it's also the lure of, you know, being able to separate for a little bit, to put something down, compartmentalize, and that show speaks to that.
Multiple Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe, the list goes on and on for Debbie Allen, who's one of the most talented women in Hollywood. Her career as a choreographer, producer, and director has spanned decades, working with everyone from Michael Jackson to Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. And obviously, we cannot forget about her long-standing role, there she is, as Catherine Fox on Grey's Anatomy. Now, Debbie is campaigning for a cause close to her heart as she raises awareness around the stigma around diabetes. Debbie joins me this morning from Los Angeles to tell us more. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Kelsey. Hello, Canada. Nice to be with you this morning. Thank you.
It's so great to have you, Debbie. In Canada, 86% of people with type 1 and 69% of people with type 2 diabetes have experienced blame or shame for having it. How are you working to help break down the stigma around this?
Well, I was really so happy to partner with Abbott to initiate this campaign that is going to bring awareness, understanding, and compassion for people who are living with diabetes and the stigma that is associated with diabetes. There's an incredible film, this whole campaign, Above the Bias. There's a film, if you go on our website, abovebias.com, and you'll see this movie, short, but will make you sit in the shoes of someone living with diabetes every day and what they go through, the stigma and the shame and how it can affect them. And, you know, there's a mental aspect to what happens when people feel that they are being isolated, ostracized, or, you know, not treated very well.
Debbie, you saw this firsthand. You lost a few family members, including your dad, to complications with diabetes. What did you watch him go through?
Well, my family has been living with diabetes my whole life. I saw my grandfather give his shot every day almost. And Dad was a dentist, and still it wasn't possible for him to avoid the complications. I just, in my own family, so I had aunts, uncles, cousins that were living with diabetes. I was at a birthday party one time, and my aunt looked over to another family member who was living with diabetes and said, "Child, you better put down that cake. We don't want to end up in the hospital with you in a coma." And there was laughter, but this was not funny. It was not nice. And these are the kind of things, it's really, this whole campaign is really a lot for friends and families to sensitize themselves to something that they might not be even conscious of. Sometimes people don't know what bias or prejudice feels like. And this campaign will help you. This film will make you know what that is. And I think it will, you know, improve your relationships and help the quality of life of those that are living with diabetes every day and go through this every single day.
Debbie, not only are you working on this campaign, you also obviously put in a lot of work on the set of Grey's Anatomy. And your character, Catherine Fox, she's a boss. She is known, especially this season, for firing people. I also read that it was your idea to have your character get slapped at the beginning of the season. So I want to show our viewers a little look at how it went behind the scenes. Take a look.
Okay.
You're just another doctor. That was great.
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you.
It doesn't hurt me. It's okay. That was good. Fantastic. Cut. You're just another doctor.
Oh, I love seeing the behind the scenes here, Debbie, in real life. You also work as an executive producer on the show. When you bring an idea like that to the table, what happens next? How does that usually go?
Well, we have an incredible showrunner, Morenis. And, you know, we always talk story. And I look at every outline, I vet the scripts. And when we talked about this beginning, coming in this season, I said, Kath, she said, there's going to be a very inspirational speech. I said, child, nobody wants inspiration. They want to see her get slapped because she's acted so badly. And she said, we can't slap Debbie Allen. I said, that's Catherine Fox. Slap her. And so she put it in.
U.S. President Donald Trump imposed 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum coming into the U.S.
Yeah, the U.S. imports more steel and aluminum from Canada than any other country. And the industry here is already feeling the heat. Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie laid off 20 employees as the tariffs were coming into effect.
So Keenan Loomis, the CEO of the Canadian Institute for Steel Construction, tells us what the industry is doing to fight back.
Let's start with what all of this uncertainty means for workers. How are they dealing with these tariffs?
Well, there's a lot of angst that is being absorbed in households across the entire country. It's unfortunate. This is not one of your normal economic recessions. This is a cell phone by the U.S. president that is causing ripple effects throughout the global industries. And so it is very difficult. We hope that we will get through this. Obviously, the steel industry has felt a lot of ups and downs. So I gain a lot of comfort from my members who tell me we've been through some really bad times and we'll likely get through this as well.
Do they expect layoffs, more layoffs?
Well, I think it's a function of time. It is unclear as to what the timelines are going to be. I'm really encouraged by Premier Ford's trip down to Washington, D.C. tomorrow, that hopefully will open up a new line of communication and will get us starting to renew the CUSMA agreement that it's a contract that we have with the United States, a contract that they are right now in breach of. But we know that there are ways to renew it, to refresh it, to make it better. And we would like to get into that conversation. But we can't do so with a gun to our head.
A contract that Donald Trump once said was the greatest agreement ever.
Yeah.
All right. So there's the workers and then there's the consumers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are wondering, what does this mean for me as someone who is in the market for a car or an appliance? Can you list through some of the products for us that would be affected by these tariffs and what it's going to mean for our pocketbooks?
The most immediate impacts have been on the automobile industry. We've heard stories of now cars being much more expensive as a result of this, appliances as well. But you know, steel is in so many different products, and the uncertainty across the economy just makes everything as well also more expensive at this point in time. The big thing for us, I represent the fabricators across the country. They're the ones who build things, who take the steel, who engineer it, cut it, connect it, create the superstructure that we have here in the studio, apartment buildings, hospitals, schools, arenas. All of those projects are going to get more expensive. And right now, anything that hasn't already been started is being paused for the moment just because there's too much uncertainty.
So when we talk about that 25%, is that automatically passed on to the consumer if they're buying any of those items that you just mentioned?
More likely it will be. Somebody's got to absorb it. It's usually the importer of record that has to pay the tariff. And so that will likely be passed on to the consumer.
So as you mentioned, Premier Doug Ford, as a result of that conversation yesterday with Secretary Letnick, will be going there to meet with the Commerce Secretary. What are you hoping comes from this meeting? What are you looking at of substance to come from that discussion?
Well, I was down in Washington, D.C. last week. What we're hearing is that more and more people are coming into the administration as they're getting confirmed by the Senate. So that means there are a broader range of voices, hopefully more moderating voices in this administration. So my understanding is that the Premier will be going down. Secretary Letnick was just installed in his job. He's actually become a new voice in the administration that has helped us get through this and manage this. He reached out to the Premier, which is great. As well, the Secretary Jameson Greer is somebody that we're counting on, who can have a more moderating influence as well, who understands trade, who understands the need to update CUSMA, and I think the Premier is going to be meeting with him as well tomorrow.
In the meantime, is there a way for the steel and aluminum industry to work around the U.S. if a new deal can't be reached? Is there a plan B?
Well, You know, there is actually more demand that we can create domestically. Part of the issue, and we had this problem even before President Trump came back into office, was way too many projects here domestically, either taxpayer dollar funded or private funded as well, that are going to overseas general contractors who are using overseas fabricators, overseas steel, overseas labor, et cetera. If we could just be more mindful of where our dollars are being spent, and I think you and I would expect that as taxpayers. We see Canadians who are altering their travel plans. We need to make sure that our dollars are going into supporting domestic firms.
So obviously, the unpredictability of this trade war is creating a lot of strain on small businesses.
Yeah, and many are anticipating significant setbacks once the Trump administration's full slate of tariffs are put into effect, and some businesses and people have already taken a hit.
Andrea Bain sat down with Ralph Montemurro. He's the founder and president of Monty Design, a Canadian company that makes and sells furniture across North America. And he spoke with us about how his business has been impacted.
How is your business handling the pressure of these tariffs?
Well, first of all, I want to say on behalf of all Canadian manufacturers who export to the U.S., it's been a very long week. These tariffs are just going to make everything more expensive for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, half of your products go to the U.S.
Yes.
So what does this mean to your sales and your exports?
Well, it just means that our prices are going to go up, and it's a big tax on American consumers. And with retaliatory tariffs, our Canadian goods are going to go up as well.
I know that's what everybody's expecting. All right, so a lot of businesses.
And quite a bit.
Yeah, I know, but it's like a good chunk.
That's 25% is a lot.
It's a lot, right?
Absolutely.
And then the consumer's going to be taking on that cost. Well, a lot of businesses have been preparing for this tariff war. What have you been doing to lessen the blow? And can you do anything?
No, unfortunately, we can't do anything. It's just a matter of how much we want to absorb with the costs, how far we can push our prices, and what the consumer can handle.
So what does this 1 month delay, because it's been on and off and now we're waiting till April 2nd, what does this 1 month delay mean for you and other small businesses?
It means we have a few more weeks of good sleeps, and that's about it. And then in a few weeks, we'll be in the exact same situation, and uncertainty is not good for most businesses. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's very interesting because this is a president everybody said was going to be great for the economy, but it doesn't seem to be great for anybody's economy, including his.
Tariffs are not good for any economy, no, especially between two nations that are essentially very good friends, if not best friends. And this is just completely a ridiculous tariff war. There's no reason for it.
Absolutely. Well, whether or not this trade war continues into the foreseeable future, what are you most concerned about?
I'm concerned about, so Monty Design, we offer an excellent product at a very fair price. And so with these huge taxes coming onto our products, there's going to be an inflation on the product that's not necessarily needs to be there. So consumers will be paying a lot of tax where, because we're such good friends, there shouldn't be that tax there.
What would you like to hear from the federal government?
If they can come to an agreement as to why the U.S. wants these tariffs. There's got to be a reason other than picking a fight and punishing us for no apparent reason. We've been, best friends for over 200 years, and there's no reason for this to happen.
What's the outcome that you would like to see after April 2nd?
Just continue the current USMCA agreement where there's free trade. Free trade is a wonderful thing.
I don't know if you're a type of person in business who trusts your gut, but what is your gut saying about the future with this tariff war, this back and forth?
My gut says that there will be no tariffs. That's my gut. It's the most ridiculous tariff war in the history of time, and so there's no reason for it. So there has to come to an agreement as to why this fight is happening. So my gut is it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I'm praying.
You know what? I think you should. I think a lot of people and small business owners share that same sentiment. They're hoping that this all kind of goes away and calms down. But with the unpredictability of what's happening in the South, we do not know. But thank you so much for joining us this morning.
This is Your Morning, the podcast, where we bring you some of our favorite conversations from our show every week. We would love for you to start your mornings with us live. You can tune in weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic. We're on CTV, the CTV News Channel, or on your CTV News app.
There are lots of things, you know, obviously we like to do, we can do on our own, whether it's going for a walk or taking up a hobby. But this TikTok user got us thinking about maybe going solo is a lost art.
So what's your take?
Dining out alone is extremely underrated, if not better than going out with groups of people.
100% agree. I love dining alone.
Why do you like dining alone?
I don't want to wait for people to get hungry.
So it's a scheduling thing?
No, if I'm hungry, I'm just gonna go eat.
Same.
I don't need to say let's do lunch. I think that more people need to stop waiting around and stop being embarrassed to sit at the bar or table with a nice book. Actually, no book.
A newspaper, yeah.
No. Sit on your phone.
See, the trick is to do it without your phone.
That's not a trick.
No, it's like hard to do that.
No, I know that. Why do I want to challenge myself? I'm trying to enjoy my steak frites while looking at TikTok. So what's your take?
I love that. Okay, so do you enjoy doing activities on your own? We have a live poll right now on your screen to vote. So scan the QR code, chime in, and let us know if you like going solo, if you prefer group activities.
I'm so confused, first of all, by the blue things they're holding. Were those microphones?
Yeah, I was wondering if they were microphones.
Train tickets. I don't know.
Speaking into the train ticket, yeah.
You guys like this a lot. You both feel very passionately, I feel like, about being alone. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Me first? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things I prefer doing alone, like going shopping, going to the gym. I have traveled alone. I remember being in New York, and it just happened to be that I had a night to myself. And I went to the concierge and I said, you know, somewhat shyly, I'm alone tonight, but I'd really like to go and see a show. Yeah. And she said to me, that is so New York. And I felt so much better about myself.
I love
and so she told me where to eat, how to get the tickets.
That's great.
And sure enough, I got to the restaurant and 90% of it, solo diners.
Boom.
Yeah, and then you get to the show and you forget all about it. But I don't know about you guys. I have friends who'd be mortified to go to a movie or sit by themselves and eat.
Yeah, you're very busy, obviously. You have 3 kids. I assume you probably don't get a ton of alone time, but have you ever gone to eat alone or gone to a movie alone? What do you think of it?
No.
No?
And firmly no.
Would you?
Firmly no.
Would you?
It's not embarrassment or feeling weird about being alone. It's just I don't want
Circumstance. Oh, you don't want to?
I don't want to. I want shared experiences. And the first thing I do when something happens is I look to my partner, to my friend, to see what their thought is.
Right.
Like when something is so funny, I want to see what someone else feels. When something tastes so good, I want to know what their experience is too. And that shared experience for me is really valuable.
Yeah, but if you're hungry, do you wait for, like that guy in the video saying, I don't want to wait around for someone. Would you look for someone to eat with?
No, I typically where my head goes, if I'm hungry, someone else probably is. And so when I'm at home, my husband works from home. So when I'm hungry and I make lunch, I just make his lunch too. And he kind of does the same. So I don't ever feel like I'm losing out by being with other people. For me, it is an increased experience.
Yes,
and I know how you feel because of what you have coming up in a couple weeks.
I'm going, my partner's in Lyon, France right now, and then I'm going to visit her for 5 days, but then I'm going for 8 days on my own to Vienna and Bratislava just to travel alone because I really like it, as do you. I like dining alone as well. And here's the thing, I love what you said about sharing it with other people, and you're such a kind of gregarious person and you love sharing stuff. Would you ever try it though? Could Marcy and I kind of convince you to go give it a try?
It's a firm no for me.
It's a firm no.
Firm no, because I think life is too short to do it alone. It's better with people.
But if you're friends with yourself,
if
you're friends with yourself, you're never alone, Kelsey.
Well,
you can enjoy your own company.
But more is more, you guys.
More is more. Will you do it just so we stop bothering you?
Can't wait to hear what you think. What have we got here? A groundbreaking surgery has given 3 Canadians hope for restored vision. They're the first in the country to undergo a rare procedure known as tooth and eye surgery.
Yeah, this is a truly incredible story. So the surgery has been done in Australia and the United Kingdom for years, but earlier this month, doctors at Vancouver's Mount St. Joseph Hospital performed it on 3 Canadian patients for the very first time.
We had the opportunity to talk with Brent Chapman. He's one of those patients. We learned about his experience. Take a listen.
You've had the first of the 2 surgeries. What happened during the first surgery and how are you feeling?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. So in the first surgery, they removed my canine tooth and implanted it under my eyelid, where it'll sit for 3 months where it becomes vascularized. They also removed some oral mucosal tissue, which is the lining of my mouth, and they sort of pack that down around the eye they're going to be working on. And in 3 months' time, they will take the tooth out of the cheek, drill a hole in it, put a artificial cornea lens through the hole, and the tooth is used as like a hard material to hold this lens in the eye for years and years.
It's just incredible. How do you feel? Are you okay? Are you in pain?
Yeah, no pain. Was a little sore the first couple days, but I've definitely turned a corner, and I'm just excited now.
Excited, and we're excited for you. I do want to talk just briefly about how you lost your sight at the age of 13. You took a couple of ibuprofens and had a reaction?
Yeah, I was playing in a basketball tournament, started to feel a little muscle soreness, and I took the ibuprofen kind of thinking nothing of it, and the severe allergic reaction came on very quickly, and it was very dramatic. I was in a coma for 27 days, and it was quite traumatic, but I was lucky enough to survive and kind of get through that, but the problems with the eyes have persisted since.
So let's talk about the risks that come with this surgery. You said that you are excited. What is the expected outcome after you have the second surgery done?
I think the best case scenario is would be 20/20 vision with some restricted sort of field of vision, but I mean 20/20 would be incredible for me. I've been pretty much blind for the last 20 years, so it would be great.
Yeah, we're keeping our fingers crossed for you. When this idea was first presented to you, how did you react? Did you think it was crazy? I mean, were you on board right away?
Yeah, I think it had first been pitched to me many years ago, and I had sort of just gotten Stevens-Johnson syndrome, and it was a lot to handle, and I was sort of like, oh, I'll never do that. Like that seems too crazy, too science fiction-y. But only until Dr. Maloney, who moved from Australia to Vancouver, came, and he was, he pitched me on, he was like, I've done 7 of these. They've all went very well and changed people's lives. And then I talked to one of the women that had it in Australia, and she just raved about it and how she went from completely blind for 20 years to snow skiing, and then I was pretty much sold.
Can you imagine what it would be like to see again, and what would that moment feel like for you? What would you want to do?
I think, it's one of those euphoric feelings of kind of a bliss. It's been a lot of hard work. We didn't know if this was actually gonna happen here. There was, about 2 years of build up to it before. And just a lot of hard work and funding. And the funding, we weren't sure if the funding was going to come through, but luckily enough, the St. Paul's Foundation did a great job, and I thank all the donors that made it happen.
Muslims around the world are currently marking Ramadan, the holiest month in Islam and a time of fasting, prayer, and self-reflection.
Yeah, and during this month, as you mentioned, Muslims fast, so that's no eating or drinking anything from sunrise to sunset, including water. But things can get a bit tricky when you throw in work, deadlines, and even some questions from well-meaning but sometimes confused coworkers.
So we spoke with two of our Your Morning team members, Aisha Ashraf and our very own podcast producer, Kamal Bandakwala, with tips for navigating Ramadan in the workplace.
I'm so stoked to talk to you about this. Like, you two have been fasting for most of your lives now. So how is Ramadan going this year? And like having gone through the fasting process for so many years now, are there still challenges or really hard elements, or are you really used to it annually at this point?
Honestly, it's going well, and year by year, it does get easier because Ramadan actually begins 10 to 12 days earlier every year.
Okay.
So the 12 hours this time around are like nothing compared to the 17-hour fast that we used to have to do.
Right, because
Yeah.
it shifts with time of year, right? What about you, Kamal?
Yeah, like I'm a little hungry right now.
Right.
I'm a little hungry, a little thirsty. And you know, some things do get easier. Some things, you know, the dip of energy during the afternoon,
Of
for
course.
example, or
Yeah.
like you know, certain times when it is the longer hours or juggling work or family, those things can get tough. But I do think that's all part of the experience, right? And part of the
100%.
growth you gain from it.
Yeah, well, non-Muslims, including me, are sometimes shocked to hear that you can't even drink water during your fast. You can't have any water at all. So have a look at this video.
Where's your lunch? Oh, you're fasting. Is it Ramadan season again? You can't eat any food, not even water?
Oh.
At least tell me you can have coffee. No, how are you even functioning right now? This is so good. Do you want some? Oh, sorry, I forgot. You don't mind me eating in front of you, right? Where's your lunch?
There you go. So eating right in front of you. I want to talk about that in
Yeah.
a second, because the notion of like courtesy for folks who are fasting during Ramadan, I think, is really important. But before that, like, are there any other misconceptions about Ramadan or about the fasting process that you've encountered from your friends?
Yeah, there are a ton. There is the age-old question, not even water. Even Emily, our talent coordinator backstage, did ask.
Yeah.
But it's good. You know, we do want to inform the people around us and let them know. But there are so many funny misconceptions. Some people think that we fast 30 days through, which that is not true, as in, like, we don't drink or eat anything for the whole month.
Oh my goodness, some people have
believe
thought
that. If that were true, I would not be here. I would be at home in my bed taking the month off. So there's things like that, or they think we can't brush our teeth. I assure you, we can.
You can,
You
yeah.
can. I
Yeah.
would feel terrible for the people around me if that weren't true. But I think the biggest one is that a lot of people think Ramadan is just about abstaining from food and water, but it's so much more than that. It's a spiritual journey. It's about renewing your faith. And during this month, we take the time to stay away from worldly distractions. So that means maybe instead of listening to music, we put on some Quran recitations.
Okay.
Instead of watching TV shows and movies, you watch some Islamic lectures. So it's finding that balance and yeah, just things like that.
Do you also spend a lot of time or more time at the mosque during Ramadan? Like, is that part of it as well?
I mean, you know, I think that ranges from person to person, and I think, you know, everyone's individual relationship with God is different. But I think, you know, as much as some people may spend more time at the mosque, I think in general it's just going into the month with you know, the right intention, right?
Yeah.
Clear mind, clear heart, and you know, just trying to grow spiritually from that. You know, just get closer to you know, the higher.
And everyone's on their own journey as
Yeah.
well. You know, people take baby steps. If someone's doing one thing, another person's not doing the same thing. Everyone's on their own spiritual journey. So it's a very individual process and journey.
And you're balancing all this with other elements of your personal life, but also with work. Do you kind of have to prepare yourself to do that, to spend more time with your faith during this month while balancing everything else?
Oh my goodness, it's so difficult. Come on, I don't know about you, but I feel like working at a morning show, it sounds like it would be beneficial, which I guess in some aspects it can be because you're done so much earlier in the day as opposed to a regular 9 to 5.
Right.
But for Muslims, a lot of our worship happens after sunset, going to the mosque. So for me, I find that challenging to navigate. So I don't know about you, Kamal. What do you think about that?
You know, I actually don't mind it because of the morning show hours. I find it, personally, I find it a little bit easier.
Right.
Because I'm already up at that time, so it just kind of flows naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you know, as I said, everyone's relationship is a little bit different. So how you pray and when you pray, you know, generally you're supposed to do the 5 times a day.
Yeah.
But, you know, given the fact that life can get busy sometimes, I think it's just finding an opportunity to, have that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's important for all of us, too, to be aware of that Muslim folks are fasting right now. Maybe be a little kind and considerate about eating and drinking in front of people. Just very quickly to wrap it up, favorite thing about Ramadan?
I would say the sense of community.
Yeah.
Whether it's spending time with your friends and family or, spending nights at the mosque, surrounded by people you don't even know, yet you're connected through this innate sense of shared, love, faith, and common ground. I think that's really beautiful.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So obviously, the unpredictability of this trade war is creating a lot of strain on small businesses.
Yeah, and many are anticipating significant setbacks once the Trump administration's full slate of tariffs are put into effect, and some businesses and people have already taken a hit.
Andrea Bain sat down with Ralph Montemurro. He's the founder and president of Monty Design, a Canadian company that makes and sells furniture across North America. And he spoke with us about how his business has been impacted. If you've been toying with the idea of making a career change but don't know where to start, these next few minutes are for you. This morning, we're looking at how to successfully shake things up on the job front if you're feeling stagnant and in need of a change. To guide us through the process and help push us past the paralysis is leadership coach Kendra Reddy. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. So many people, I think especially at this time of year, flirt with the idea of change. They want to make a big change. How do you know where to start?
I think there's a ton of discomfort around this of where and when and what. It brings up so many questions. We live in a world that's fixated on results, and there's so much pressure to figure it all out. We're so busy producing and checking off boxes that we've forgotten how to have a creative experience with life. And a career change is a journey of self-discovery and growth. It's not about having a map. It's about learning to trust your inner compass.
And I love this next point because, and this is what I was saying to you during the break, how do you know if you're really ready, legitimately ready for a change, or if you're just feeling bored?
Yeah, you should definitely answer that question before you blow your life up. Boredom is a surface symptom.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a sign that you're stuck in a stagnant routine, and other times it is a deeper sign that you're out of alignment with your best self. So I always say, instead of narrowing it down to what do I want to do, open it up to what is the life I'm trying to create for myself. That widens the horizon and it takes the pressure off the job title or the label. So that discomfort is actually the first spark of transformation and growth. When you learn to let it guide you instead of resisting it, that's when magic happens.
And it sounds like you're telling us we have to be patient with the process.
Absolutely.
And give it time to sort of give ourselves time to work through it.
Yes. Who am I and what do I want are two of the most powerful questions we can ask ourselves. And the power comes in the exploration, and the clarity comes in the exploration, not in the final answer.
How do we know when to trust our intuition? Is there an easy answer for that one?
Your intuition is the wise, ancient part of you that has always had your back. It'll never let you free fall, and it's not going to make a reckless decision. So it's actually both. Trust your intuition and do your due diligence, do your research. If it feels more ominous than it does exhilarating, you should trust that red flag.
All right, my friends, we're so glad that you joined us today.
And if you want more of these great conversations, don't forget to download or hit subscribe to Your Morning, the podcast, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
And of course, we'd love for you to watch us live on TV, weekday mornings on CTV, CTV News Channel, or on the CTV News app. See you in the morning.